All right, all right. Well, welcome, Jon-Bianco. It is so good to see you. Um, I'm excited for this interview today. I'm going to let you take over for a second and go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us what you do, who you are, what you do, and yeah, anything else you'd like to share.
So my name is Jon-Bianco. I'm 29 years old. I'll be 30 in a few weeks. I'm born and raised in New York. I've lived in Manhattan my entire life. Um, Looking back, I had a very boring childhood. I grew up with a very uh, old-fashioned Latina mother who made sure I was home and not causing trouble. And when I was around 14 years old, I begged her to put me into martial arts. And after months of begging, she did. It was just an after-school hobby at the time. And then after like maybe a year or so, I became passionate about it. It just consumed my life. And then by the time it was around 17, 18, I was given my first opportunity to teach a very small beginners kids class. And now about 12 years later, it's my career. It's all I do. I'm training all day, teaching all day. I'm fighting, I'm training other fighters, coaching them, being coached. It's all encompassing for me. So I came into hypnosis looking to find some sort of guidance or gain some sort of edge, both as an instructor and competitor, and just a practitioner aside from just competing, just like from my everyday practice.
Yeah. Yeah, that was my next question. I was going to ask you too, because gosh, it was about a year ago that we worked together. And so
Yeah.
here we are doing the update now. And I love that because now you can like really see the process of it. But can you tell us a little bit more? Were you facing any blocks that brought you to hypnosis, or was there anything particularly that you wanted to focus on when you first were thinking about it?
So I was never actually thinking about hypnosis. It popped up on my Instagram, and I remember it was the ad said I could get a free session. So I'm pretty open-minded. I was thinking I might as well try it. Free session, see what's up. I did my first session. I loved it. So I thought, why not invest some money in this and hopefully it pays off. For me, a big thing that I was looking to gain was that uh, 2021 was a rough year for me because it was the first year where I didn't make more money than the previous year.
Mm.
So 2022, I bit down. I did well for myself in 2022, but it still wasn't quite to the level that I wanted to. So again, looking for any possible advantage, any possible edge. I saw the ad on Instagram and I'm thinking, okay, maybe this is a sign. I should take advantage of it. If it doesn't work out, at least I could say I tried. I tried something new. I gained whatever X experience. Um, but a big goal for me career wise was to be able to generate a six-figure income doing what I love, right? Because I went to school, I got my degree, but I'm not there's no line of work that I'm necessarily attracted to. Again, martial arts has been my life since I was a boy. So that's how I want to make my money. And then what I was manifesting last year was that $100,000 milestone. I
Yeah.
did miss it, but I missed it by maybe, like I want to say it was like $1,650. So I made
Ah,
about 98.
here.
I made like 98 for
Okay.
in 2023. But I mean, for me, that's good enough. That's I'll round it. But of course, um, I'm still looking. I'm always looking to improve myself. So, and I think hypnosis. I mean, for me, I've had good results with it.
Yeah.
So, some people will tell me, oh, well, it could just be a coincidence. You work hard, but I'm like, well, I've been working hard for a long time. So I'm like, something must have changed. I feel my mindset has changed. I listen to my recording often. I sleep with, I mean, the window in my browser has been open since I want to say I did it last May. So in May 2023, the actual window has not closed
Yeah.
on my phone. So I listen to it often.
That is so awesome. And that's interesting. We just missed it by a hair. What I noticed and people haven't seen the conversation before. We were talking about your ability to be resourceful and to find solutions too, because as you've leveled up, it's like new challenges present themselves, but they're presenting themselves for you to overcome. And it's no longer a scary thing. It's exciting even. It's like, okay, how do I get to be creative and overcome this? So
For
I
sure.
one of my questions is do you, and you may not remember it, do you remember any of the biggest blocks that you were having? Like any of the maybe blocks that you had or limiting beliefs? Anything come up to mind?
Oh, uh, no, I
No?
can't.
Oh, good. Well, that's a good sign then.
I feel in the last year again, so much has changed for me. So I feel so much more confident, so much more ready. I also find that I take advantage of whatever opportunity I'm given because, I'm still young. I'm only 29 years old. And I think now's the time for me to work, even if it sometimes is a little bit too much. I think now's the time because what I'm looking to do is I would like to retire relatively young.
Yeah.
So sometimes maybe I'm given an opportunity to pick up an extra client, but maybe my calendar's full for whatever X day they want to train. But I
Yeah.
think to myself, you wanted this, right? You want to grow your business. You're looking to hit a certain milestone income wise. So you saying no is you directly saying no to yourself in reference to your goals. So I do my best to, unless I can't train the person because of some sort of, logistical reason, like maybe they're too far. That does happen once in a while. Sometimes, 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. are hot times for people to look for a trainer. So those slots go right away. So if someone is dead bent on having one of those times and it's already booked, which is often the case, I can't do it. But aside from the reasons like that, I never say no to any opportunity that I'm given.
Love it. So you're constantly in this yes, take action kind of mode that
For yeah,
is
for
really
sure,
impacting everything that you do. And I think
for
that's huge
sure,
because I know a lot of people prior to, doing hypnosis sessions, they can be in a freeze mode or in
for
a
sure.
just overwhelmed or not having the ability to believe that something's possible for them. So when we start to see ourselves taking action, it builds trust, right? And
Yes.
that trust builds momentum, and the momentum starts to show results. And you're like, okay, there's a method to this. It's just do, it's do, and it produces. So I guess one of the questions I want to ask you is prior to working with me, what were the type of income months you were having? And then after, what was one of the best months you had?
Okay, so I mean, in 2021, I only made $35,000.
Okay.
In New York City, that is very low. Um, I was living with my ex-girlfriend at the time, so I was lucky enough to be splitting my rent with someone in a small apartment. So, I was able to make ends meet, but that was about it. I was making, if I was lucky if I made over $3,000 a month in 2021, even going into even in 2022, I was still sometimes making, I think 2022 was the first time I had cracked $4,000 in
Mhm.
1 month. And plenty of times I didn't. Again, if I only made 35K in 2021, that means I'm averaging less than 3,000 a month.
Yeah.
Well, did my hypnosis 2023 rolled around, and that was my year where I made around 98,000. And my best month last year, I made 13,000. That was my best month. I made 13,000 flat last year in one month. I want to say it was may have been a September or October. Again,
Yeah.
September is a great month for personal trainers and martial arts instructors because lots of people are coming back from their vacation, fired up, ready to train. The momentum from 2023 carried into 2024. Again, 13 was my best month last year. This year, my best month was, I want to say, I have the exact number written down somewhere. I like to write it down rather than typing it out, having it down on paper. Something about it feels good, but I made 14.1. I want to say in April of this year. I had a 4 month span. So February, March, April, and May, I cleared five figures each month.
Oh. That is incredible. Okay, so you're saying that you went from 35,000 annual income to
Yeah,
98,000, and prior to that you're saying averaging about like 3,500 months,
yeah,
and then some consistent months were like 13K months, 14K month.
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, I can't believe that. Like, so for example, so Q2 of this year, I made like a low 30s, which is crazy to think that in a 3 month span, I made, maybe 31 or $32,000
Yeah,
when just 3 years ago, I only made a few thousand more for the entire year.
yeah,
It's humbling. It's humbling.
that's
Um,
it's incredible that because I think from this angle, it's like seeing these blocks released within a person. And it's just a process we do, right? It's this strategy that we've been doing and it's consistent. But it does yield these results. We release these blocks and we don't realize how subtly they can shift our behavior, but how massively impactful that can be to our what we produce and our outcomes. And so I know you said in New York you were splitting your rent prior, and you mentioned something, a really big win, something at 29 years old in New York you should absolutely be celebrating. Do you want to share what that is?
Yeah, so this was actually, it happened a few weeks. My birthday's in late September, so September 1st last year, I had ended up splitting from my ex, which at the time was devastating, but within a month and a half, I was finally able to have my own place, which was another huge win for me. And obviously, that was only possible because of the money I was making, because you're not in lower Manhattan, you're not going to be able to afford your own apartment. You can't afford your own apartment in lower Manhattan if you're making $60,000. You'll have to move further uptown where I grew up. I grew up in northern Manhattan,
Yeah.
almost in the Bronx, or you'd have to move to like the outskirts of the other boroughs.
Mm,
So, securing my own place, again, it's not only securing my own place, but it's that I did so doing something that I love. Growing up, I saw my parents work very hard. They didn't make a lot of money, and neither of them enjoyed their work. They did it to put food on the table, to keep the roof over our heads. And for a long time, I thought that was the way it was for everybody.
mm,
I didn't think it was possible to make money doing something you love,
mm.
you know? So I'm definitely blessed in that regard. And being able to boost my income to the point of being able to afford my own place while doing something that I love was just, it's a dream come true.
I
It's a
love.
dream come true.
And I know that
Um,
you're working with some stars right now. You're doing what you love. You're impacting, the martial arts community. I know you're doing amazing things. How exciting is that for you?
oh, it's super exciting. I wake up, I feel bad for people who always look forward to Friday because I look forward to Monday. Like I go to bed on Sunday and I'm like, Monday's usually my busiest day of the week.
Mhm.
I only teach 6 group classes a week.
Yeah,
And 3 of them are on Mondays. And then I'll usually schedule anywhere between 4 to 6 one-on-one or small group trainings on Monday. So Monday's always a jam-packed day for me, and it's the day of the week where I make the most money.
incredible. That is incredible if we
So
could do that like in one day. I know you can structure your week the way you like. You can have free time if you want, but I love what you're saying. You're like, no, I can't wait to start my week. And I think a lot of people don't know that that's available for them. So thank you for sharing
for
that.
sure. Yeah, unfortunately, I think that a lot of people are still in a place where they're not passionate about something. They don't know what lights them up. So it's definitely, I would say, there's an element of luck for me that I was able to find it when I was so young.
Yeah,
But then the hard work gave me the opportunity to, teach that first class when I was, maybe like a senior in high
yeah,
school.
yeah.
And then, it grew very, very slowly. And then around the time that I started working with you, that was when it really took off. And, I find that these things also bleed into other areas. Earlier this year, I was given my first opportunity to compete in my first professional grappling tournament, which was very exciting.
Yes, I
And
remember
it
you
was
told me that. Go ahead.
so, you know, being an amateur fighter for so long, amateur grappler, amateur kickboxer, you don't get paid for the fights. You're doing it because you love it. But that's what separates aside. I mean, obviously there's a skill discrepancy, but what the main difference is professionals are paid. So I was able to enter a tournament where the grand prize was it was almost $1,000. It was 8 guys. I fought my way to the finals. I beat 2 guys. My opponent beat 2 guys. Then I ended up losing in the final, so I didn't win. But I mean, just the fact that I was it was that I had the opportunity to do it
Yeah.
was humbling and
Yeah, it's
very
expanding.
exciting.
It's expanding to like new possibilities and really showing yourself, wait a minute, this really can happen. I really can do this.
Exactly.
I am
Yeah.
valuable. I am
Yeah.
capable, and it is available to you.
For
So,
sure.
well, thank you, John, for sharing so much. My last question, and this is for people considering hypnosis, right? I want to explain it this way. I know a lot of people, gosh, I just got a text this morning and somebody was like, I always had a fear that hypnosis would be like the ultimate mind control. Somebody's coming in and they're just going to control me. So, to the person who's considering it and they're on the fence about it, maybe they're nervous, maybe they're worried, what would you tell that person about trying hypnosis and doing hypnosis for their goals?
I don't think about it as someone else controlling me. I think it's someone else helping me to get in control of myself.
Yes.
You can't control your thoughts, but what you can do is control your actions, and your actions will influence how you think, how you talk to yourself. I'm very hard on myself, so I'm definitely guilty of sometimes self-deprecating, beating myself up, being too hard on myself. Um, with hypnosis, I found that it's these ideas are being suggested to me, right? That's what you call them. You call them suggestions.
Suggestions, yeah.
So, it's constantly being suggested to you, and then eventually you just start to believe it. I mean, again, I put the recording on my phone, I put it very low, and I just go to sleep. So it's being whispered into my ear
Yeah,
for hours,
yeah,
and then like anything else, it doesn't happen overnight.
yeah.
But you wait a couple of weeks, you wait a couple of months, and then before you know it, things change. That's what happened. I thought about you because it was even before you contacted me, because I thought a couple of months ago, I'm scrolling through my notes on my phone and I see a list that we made
Yeah.
of things that I want to manifest, my suggestions, whatever you want to call it. And I was like, this is all happening. I'm like, I forgot that a year ago. Again, it's almost like I lose touch because I'm forgetting what it was like again a few years ago or even
Yeah.
2 years ago. And I'm like, wow, all these things that I worked through in my sessions have come to fruition.
I love hearing that. And I'm going to tell you, I love hearing that. I had the same experience. And I have a lot of clients that have those same experiences where we're moving through life and we'll forget those things that we wrote down or the things that we did in hypnosis. And then a year later you look back and you're like, and it's the coolest feeling to look back and be like, oh my gosh, it all came true.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm so glad you had that experience. And yeah, I think about it this way. You and I paired up. You came to me and told me your goals, right? And you told me the results that you were looking for. So that's what we were working on. A lot of it was the blocks that were preventing you from reaching that. But nothing I did was like me giving my own suggestions for you. It was really helping you achieve what you wanted. So yeah, the suggestions were coming from you. So there's some hypnotists that would argue that all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. It's just depending on
Hmm.
whether you have a practitioner or not. But truly, like if I would have told you like, hey John, go rob a bank, you'd have been like, wait, what? Right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
you
for
can't
sure.
you can't really hypnotize somebody like that. I mean, unless you're doing like just mind control in a whole nother way, and that
For
involves
sure.
some substance, if you know what I mean. But
For sure.
no, but this is definitely like it was all the suggestions that you were really looking for, the results you were looking for, and so
For
that's what
sure.
is also important. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, well, the last thing I wanted to point out was one thing that I thought, and it's a testament to you, was that, you asked me, well, what do you want? What are you working toward? You asked me about my goals. You're trying to figure out what I want. And I tell you all these things. And then you sort of, you so eloquently and concisely put it together. I'm like, I would never organize my thoughts this way. Like the way you say it, it's this complete, it sounds silly, but it's a complete thought and it's so well said. And again, it's so concise. It's
Yeah.
so concise.
It's one of my favorite parts, putting those together. It's I don't know if you guys remember or if you remember that, but when we're doing it, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna be like Kermit the Frog here for a moment. I'm like
Yeah,
crafting them.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
we do it, and then and you're right. It's like over time, those suggestions. It's like, yeah, I am capable. Yes, there are possibilities. Yes, I am an action taker, or whatever else we like put in there, because it's very specific, of course. But yeah, it was I'm just glad to hear you and hear your results, and it's a year later. So the one thing I would like to point out is, and this was the experience I also had, was it never really stops working, does it?
no, yeah, it's something you do forever. It's something you do
Yeah.
forever. It's gonna always be there. I don't plan on closing the window in my internet browser.
No, that's the thing I noticed too for myself was like I remember looking back and working with one of the first hypnotists I worked with, and it was a couple of years, it was like 4 years later, and I look back and I'm like, I remember what we worked on and it never stopped. In fact, it's that suggestion is still operating and expanding and playing out in my life today. And so that's what I love about it. It's like once you change that direction of your thought process, it's changed forever. You're like now forever going in this new, more beneficial direction for your income, for your life, for your happiness, like you were talking about. And I think that's a really great thing, you know?
For sure, for sure.
Well, I want to say thank you so much for coming on here and just sharing. I know it's been time, that time has passed, but it means a lot. And I think it's going to help impact a lot of people's decision. And just seeing that the biggest thing, biggest takeaway right now you're saying is that for me is that you're like, I can do something I love and I'm happy with, and I can make great money doing it.
For sure, for sure. I If I had the opportunity to make more money, but I didn't like what I was doing, it wouldn't be as meaningful. You want to enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah,
You want
absolutely.
to enjoy what you're doing. So it's it's probably the best part of my life. If it's not the best, it's one of the best. You know, I
Absolutely.
look forward to my work.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, John. I'm gonna go ahead and cut the recording. Bye, everybody, and I hope this review helps you guys too. So, bye.